This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports with you. As always, we appreciate you making Locked On Bets your first listen of the day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Lee, you know what today is, right? The beginning of?
Locktober. You got it.
It's here. We made it to October, finally, October 1st, and playoff baseball already underway. We'll get to the games from last night. Also, college football we'll discuss, NFL. We got so much to get to. Very, very excited about today's show. So, Lee, let's get right to it and begin the show with a hidden gem.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
All right, Lee. Big Ten back at the Horseshoe. Minnesota and Ohio State. The Buckeyes off their big victory in Seattle over Washington, and now they take on row your boat. PJ Fleck and the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Heavy favorite the Buckeyes this week. Lee, what do you like here with Minnesota and Ohio State?
Bravo. Ohio State, number one in the country. Let's fawn over them. Okay. I had them last week, and I thought they were going to steamroll Washington. Why? Because I thought Washington was not even close. They had a couple really good players, skill positions on offense, like quarterback, receiver, running back, one, maybe two good cornerbacks, but that was it. They were one, maybe 2 years away. On top of that, if you watch the game, what is Washington doing? They were going for like a 43 or 45-yard field goal, ran a fake field goal when clearly it was set up. It was doomed to failure the way that Ohio State was lined up. And then Jed Fish throws his players under the bus for not being able to execute. It was his fault. For the first half, Washington should have been leading that game. When Ohio State took that lead 7-3, it was said and done. Washington had fired everything they had. Now, Ohio State has to go back home. And you know they're watching film of Minnesota. Yeah, Mr. Row Your Boats team. And you're thinking, they're looking ahead to some other games down the road. Let's be honest. But this Minnesota team actually is pretty good. So the line last week when Ohio State played Washington was anywhere, opened up at like 10, closed at like 8, 8.5, 9 points. Now, 24-point favorite at home. They're feeling great about themselves. Let's look at Minnesota. You think they have no offense? Well, they battled back against a pretty good Rutgers team that's sound. They were losing by 7.5. They win 31-28. I think they have a lot of moxie there. Think that their defense is really good. In fact, very good. In fact, they're number 5 in rushing yards allowed. They're 7th in sacks per game. So they get a lot of negative plays against the offense and create havoc. They are top 25 also in passing yards allowed. So even yards per play, they're top 25. So this is a fundamentally sound team. Is Ohio State very good? Yes. Probably top 2, top 3, top 5 talent. But it's about how you go into a game. Ohio State has also beaten Minnesota 13 straight times. If you think that Minnesota isn't fired up for this game, trust me, every one of these kids from Minnesota, if they were recruited by Ohio State, they would go in a heartbeat. So I think that they're going to be ready for this game. I think Ohio State's going to be a little lackadaisical. Obviously, at first, getting 24 points, I don't see this as a blowout. This is one of those Ohio State games where you're in the fourth quarter and they're winning by like 10, and you're like, if you bet Ohio State, what was I thinking? I think Minnesota is going to keep this game close. I could see like maybe a 31 to 16, 31 to 18 score here. I think 24 points is way too much, maybe even a touchdown too much. We're going to go with a hidden gem. The Minnesota Golden Gophers plus all those gorgeous points.
And this is the first time, Lee, Minnesota's an underdog this season. Looking back at last year, they're 11.5-point dog to Penn State, covered in a 1-point loss. 9.5-point dog at home to USC, beat them outright. 10.5-point dog at Michigan, lost by 3. And granted, those are shorter numbers than 24. But still, PJ Fleck will get his team up as an underdog. And Minnesota, this is their biggest game. Ohio State, I hate to say it, it's just another game for them. It really is. They know they can just walk in. Let's get a win. Let's get through this and get to the next week. And for Minnesota, this is their biggest game of the season. And like you said, with Fleck, that they've had a lot of bad luck with Ohio State. So, he's going to be fired up to get this team at least to be competitive with them.
Yeah, I think Ohio State's really good. Do I think that they're the best team in the country? No, I think Oregon's the best team. Miami might be right up there. So they're treating them like they're the 2-time or 3-time national champions. Yeah, it's what you saw last. And most people were not watching the Minnesota-Rutgers game. They were watching Ohio State in the second half against Washington just totally dominate. And like I said, if you're going to bet things just based on what you saw last, you're not going to do real well in this business.
Well, especially in the NFL. We'll talk about that. You do one thing one week, the next week it's completely different. So
right.
Anyway, let's look back at last night's games, Lee. And 2-2, because we had the one play I gave out Monday, Tigers Guardians first 5 under. Game was early, so we want to give it out Monday. In the game they played yesterday at 1 o'clock. And the Tigers ended up winning the game. It was 1-1 through 5. And I just felt with Tarek Skubal that he just owns that Cleveland team, and it got a little dicey there in the 9th inning. But good for Detroit, though, to get that win out of the gate. And look, if they could find a way to knock off Cleveland, losing that division title didn't really matter.
I think they're a team to be reckoned with. Some of these teams that started well and got these big leads, it's not always, everyone remembers how you end. It's sometimes you get that start. It's like the great fighters. Muhammad Ali used to say, no one remembers what happens in the middle of the fight, middle of the round. You remember how you started, and the last 10 seconds, 20 seconds, he used to flurry and steal rounds. So I think they coasted. I think they, got, a little complacent, and now they're picking it up. Great games yesterday. If you like playoff baseball, it was filled with so much drama. Close games, the first 3 games, and the last game was a blowout, but that was as we expected. So love playoff baseball as you're working, as you're doing different things. I mean, I used to love as a kid, trying to get out of school and get home as quick as possible to watch the games on TV. And
the other 2 baseball plays split them in the Dodger game. Dodgers minus 1.5, which is never in doubt. They're 5-0 out of the chute. 10-5, and just quickly on that, I think that we sometimes forget when we watch greatness. You watch it with Michael Jordan, you watch it with other players throughout the years. Watching Shohei Ohtani just turn on a baseball and do what he does. He's not even pitching right now. I mean, last night obviously he didn't pitch, but just seeing him hit, it's just unbelievable. Like, they get that first run, you're like, the Reds aren't winning this game. It almost felt like just the momentum shift was just taken away. They got no shot there, and the Dodgers won easily 10-5.
Yeah, I mean, they're loaded. I mean, they're the best team money can buy. They're loaded every single facet of the game: hitting, pitching, defense. If they're on, I mean, they're going to be a tough out for anyone.
Andy Pages, though, you had him 0 for 5, but you mentioned one interesting thing. I mean, it doesn't make you feel any better, but no strikeouts. So he puts the ball in play and just unfortunately couldn't get one to fall.
Just hit it right to everyone. He was just one of 2 players that didn't get a hit. So he had good numbers going up against that pitcher and saw the ball well. I think he was most of the counts, he was swinging early. Hit it right on the button, just right to everyone. That happens sometimes. If you strike out 2 or 3 times, you're like, I read that one wrong. Not saying I read it wrong. Just sometimes you just don't get those lucky bounces, or guys are just positioned right. So just happens in baseball. Best hitters, only hitting high 290s, low 300s these days. I think there was, going into the last couple weeks, there was only like 7 to 8 guys hitting above 300. Crazy. But we just needed 1 hit. Wasn't going for the 1.5 bases. So I think there'll be plenty other spots to get some player props throughout the playoffs.
And the WNBA, we had the under in the first quarter between the Fever and the Aces. It was looking good for the first half. It was a good pace, and maybe even like 4 minutes to go. Then things kind of exploded there in the final few minutes, and the first quarter went over rather. And Las Vegas ended up winning the game in overtime. So Indiana, they had a really nice run considering Caitlin Clark was out for most of the season. So it's Las Vegas and Phoenix in the finals. Lee, quick thoughts, Eddie, or no?
No. I didn't watch it last night. I was too busy with the baseball. So I've watched a few of them, but didn't watch that one. Just put a big X, after the game was over, and we move on.
We move on, exactly. All right, we have a lot more to get to. We'll hit on the Yankees and the Red Sox coming up, Game 2, and also look back at the end of Game 1 last night. Also, some NFL, Dolphins and the Panthers. Have a best bet on that, and also we'll hit on the late game tonight, Dodgers and the Reds. Can LA just knock Cincinnati out with a win tonight? We will talk about all of that straight ahead. You are listening to Locked On Bets. It's time now to talk about FanDuel. That's right. We love FanDuel here on Locked On Bets. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app, and your choices are endless. You look at the NFL. Week 5 beginning tomorrow night, 49ers and the Rams. You have side, total, money line to bet on that game. Also, all the player props. You could look at Matthew Stafford with the Rams, Devontae Adams with the Rams, Puka Nacua with the Rams. You could look at anybody on the 49ers, what Christian McCaffrey can do. All the player props you have available there for that game. Also, the futures. If you want to look ahead to the Super Bowl, the Buffalo Bills are the favorite right now at FanDuel to win the big game coming up in February. Also, their quarterback, Josh Allen, is the MVP favorite at FanDuel as we speak. So you could bet on MVP, on Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, all the choices, Super Bowl, AFC winner, NFC winner. It's all there right now at FanDuel all throughout the NFL season. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. We roll on here. It is the Wednesday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. So we head back to the Diamond as we look at tonight's blowout special.
Oh boy. Last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
The New York Yankees, they are on the verge of elimination, and 2010, the last time they won a World Series. It's been a hot minute for the Yankees. And before we get to the pick tonight, Lee, very interesting end of that game last night. First of all, Max Fried was terrific, and the Red Sox came back, took the lead. The Yankees had an opportunity in the ninth inning against their old friend Aroldis Chapman. 3 straight singles out of the gate, and then Giancarlo Stanton came up, struck out. You thought, first thing in my mind was he's going to hit a grand slam, that this game is going to be over. He's going to hit the grand slam. He's going to be the big hero. He strikes out. Jazz Chisholm, he ends up getting out. The Yankees, it was just an amazing ninth inning from the standpoint of Chapman almost blowing it, but also Chapman with no outs, bases loaded, getting out of that jam, and the Red Sox winning.
I mean, isn't it? I mean, that's Chapman. I mean, ever since he came up, the walks, the strikeouts, the blown saves. I mean, there's always some drama. So at least he's exciting. And, I don't think we've seen the end of the drama that we're going to see. Who knows? Maybe we'll see a fight or, a blown call or something. Yeah, this isn't going to be a game that's going to just sail through tonight, and we see either Boston win easy or the Yankees, come back. Something crazy is going to happen, and there's so much hate between these two teams, and managers don't like each other. But it's a lot of fun, though.
All right, so let's get to the pick now. The Yankees, I'm going to take them in the first 5 -0.5, and that's around -120, 125. Now, here's the number, Lee, I want to give you. Including last night, the last 45 games for the Yankees, they're 32-7-6 in the first 5 innings. So they get off to good starts in these games. Carlos Rodon, who's making the start for New York tonight, this season, he was 24-8-1 in the first 5 innings. So he was always pretty good. 2-1 against Boston. Brian Bayo, he had a couple good starts against the Yankees, and he opposed Max Fried and was a heavy dog in those and didn't allow a run in the first 5 innings twice. And then his third start gave up 3 or 4. But he was 10-12-6 in the first 5. It's unfair to compare Garrett Crochet to Brian Bayo, but Crochet was just awesome last night. And now you kind of drop off with Bayo, where I don't think the drop from Max Fried to Carlos Rodon is that huge. Fried is still very good, but I think Rodon is closer to Fried than Bayo is to Crochet. So I'm going to go with the Yankees first 5 to at least take the lead through 5. Who knows what happens with the bullpens, but let's go with that as our blowout special for Wednesday night.
You got to say it a little more convincing.
Fine, sorry. Let me do it again. This is our blowout special for Wednesday night. Better?
There we go. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it too. And we don't need, may not need 3 or 4 runs, but I do think the Yankees are going to take the lead. And they take the lead, it's a good chance they're going to win the game. Like I said, I don't think we're going to see a 2-game sweep here. So love it. I don't love either team. So I want to see a great series.
Yeah, and it's always exciting when these teams get together. I thought to myself, Aaron Boone was going to dial himself up at the plate when it was the bases loaded so he could be the hero again, and he could make them say, remember me in 2003 when I hit that walk-off homer? I'm going to do it again here. I'm just going to play. I don't care. I got to save my face with all of this. Anyway, all right, so let's go now to the NFL Week 5 coming up. Tomorrow you have 49ers Rams, but Sunday the Dolphins and the Panthers in Carolina, those 2 old rivals, and we'll see what happens here with the wrong team favorite.
What the fuck?
WTF.
So a lot of storylines going into this game, Lee. The Dolphins off their first win of the season. Tyreek Hill lost for the year with that gruesome leg injury. So now that's one less weapon for Tua Tagovailoa to connect with. But the Dolphins now a little bit of momentum after the win over the Jets, but a short week. Headed to Carolina. Panthers off that blowout loss at New England. They're 0-3 in the road, but their only home win was by shutout over the Falcons. So we'll see what they do. Dolphins, Panthers, Lee, what do you like?
All right, so this Panthers team, I knew they were cursed when they were showing the pregame. I'm watching, and I see David Tepper, the owner of Carolina, come over to Bryce Young and shake his hand before the game. The guy is a mush. So the franchise has not been good since he took him over, broiled in controversy, and the guy, I think, threw a drink, the owner, at a fan one time. Probably not the best of guys, but this might be a good spot. In fact, the lines makers opened up as the Dolphins -1. And I was talking with some friends. We were watching the game, and they're like, oh, Tyreek Hill's hurt now. He's out for the season. So they'll make this a pick'em in Carolina -1. Well, you know what? There's a few places that made it a pick'em, and they went right back to the Dolphins being a 1-point favorite. So let's look at the Dolphins first. They won in that game despite being +3 in turnovers. They should have won big. They didn't. The defense, I think, is horrendous here. Quarterbacks, all 4 of them that have faced the Dolphins, over a 110. That's right, a 110 quarterback rating. Opponents have rushed for over 150 yards in 3 of the 4 games. And then you also look at penalties. They benefited in that game from, I think the Jets had 101 yards in penalties. The officiating was horrendous. So there was a clear unnecessary roughness foul that should have been called for hitting Fields out of bounds. And then also the offensive interference, I thought it was horrendous that called back a touchdown for the Jets. So I thought that the officiating was one of the worst we've seen in the NFL, and almost every single call favored the Dolphins here. Hill's out for the Dolphins. I think also Carolina is going to benefit from seeing Darren Waller, seeing how Dolphins line him up. He had 2 touchdown catches. He could be a force, and it's going to have to be a force because it's going to be him and Waller. That's it. Going down the field, catching passes from Tua going forward. Losing Hill is a huge, huge loss. So Waddle's a great 2, probably not a number 1. He's not going to have too many games where he catches 7, 8, 9 balls in a game. So I think the Dolphins now are figuring out, hey, we're without Hill. I think they're down. I think that they're down. They have to come off a short week and play Carolina, who was great 2 weeks ago, but last week was terrible. I think their star receiver, first-round pick, McMillan, could have a huge game against the worst cornerbacks in the NFL, and it's not even close. He is not. I think he's had something like 14 or 13 or 14 receptions on the year. No touchdown catches yet. If you can anytime touchdown predict McMillan here, Torrey McMillan, I think this is the time to take him here. So I think this is a great bounce back spot here for Carolina. I think that Carolina should be a 2.5, 3-point favorite. I think the Dolphins are going to start plummeting here. And Carolina, I think they're going to run the ball. Chuba Hubbard's going to have a big game against this run defense that's given up over 150 yards in 3 of the last 4 games. Also, yards per play. Dolphins defense has gotten worse every single week. It's gone from 6 to 6-1 to 6-3 and 7-1. Their rushing defense and pass defense is absolutely horrific. So we're going to take that Carolina Panthers here plus the 1 point. Get on it now. Wrong team favorite.
Yeah, and we'll see if the Panthers can get their second home win of the season coming up on Sunday. Up next, we will head back to baseball. Dodgers and the Reds. We'll see if LA can finish off the 2-game sweep tonight of Cincinnati and advance to the NLDS. That is straight ahead. You're listening to Locked On Bets. Locked On Bets continues here on a Wednesday. Locktober underway. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. And Lee, the Dodgers off their big win over the Reds last night. We'll see if they could do it again. It's time for our Lock of the Day.
Open it, open it, open it. Lee has the key to the Lock of the Day.
The Phillies waiting in the wings for the winner of this series, which, let me rephrase that. The Phillies waiting in the wings, waiting for the Dodgers coming up because, LA is probably going to finish off this series against Cincinnati. Big win last night, 10-5. And Lee, what do you like here for your lock with the Dodgers and the Reds tonight?
So I'm going to take a bit of a different approach here. And that's the great thing about gambling. You don't have to pick a side. You don't have to pick, a total. You can look at things differently. So my different approach here in game 1, this is a situation here since MLB changed the wild card format in 2022. Teams who win game 1 of the wild card series at home have gone 7-0. Game 2 of the series to secure the sweep here. I think good chance we'll see a sweep, but not seeing Yamamoto, the pitcher for the Dodgers, tonight's starter in LA in postseason yet. So I don't want to rely on him too much. The issue for Cincinnati here is I think Terry Francona, one of the better managers here in baseball, but not managed his team real well this year. Why is he starting Zach Littell here over Nick Lodolo here and Andrew Abbott tonight? Well, Littell's ERA has jumped almost a full point since being acquired from Tampa Bay, and the Dodgers has hit him well in postseason before. Supposedly, Lodolo here will replace Littell out of the bullpen in the 2nd or 3rd inning, but Lodolo has pitched just 1 inning as a reliever in his entire career. Risky move to try to do something like that. Dodgers made it clear this series that, it was a mismatch if you watched last night's game, especially on offense. And I don't see the Reds bullpen game here keeping them from another 6-7 runs tonight. So let's leave the Dodgers shaky starter here and bullpen out of this game and just take the team total over. LA Dodgers team total over 4.5 runs, -115, level 1 lock.
The Dodgers offense just can explode at any time, which is crazy. And Ohtani can go deep at any time. And we haven't even really talked about Freddie Freeman at all. And just the lineup is just so loaded. And like you said, with Littell, who wasn't great in Tampa Bay, went to Cincinnati at the trade deadline, wasn't great with the Reds. And it's hard because you don't want to have to save anybody for Game 3 when you've got to get through a Game 2. It's easier to save Ohtani for Game 3 if you're the Dodgers in the mound to say, okay, well, if we lose Game 2, we have him in the barrel for Game 3. But when you're the Reds, you don't have a lot of choices here. You got to go with your best guys to try to save your season.
Well, it sounds like he's going to pitch maybe 4 or 5 guys or more today. He's going to go situational and doesn't want the Dodgers to see his pitchers 2 and 3 times to the lineup, the starter. So, in theory, it makes sense. But if you think that 4 guys or 5 guys are going to be perfect against the Dodgers, I don't think so. I mean, it seems like so many of their guys like Betts and Freeman, every night it's someone different for this team. Even the guys hitting 7th, 8th, 9th are very capable. Most teams, they'd be batting, 4th, 5th, 6th, or 5th and 6th in a lineup. So I think this Dodgers lineup is really explosive here. And, like I said, in theory, it makes sense. And I think he's trying to think out of the box here. But, it's why I don't like baseball as much as I used to like anymore. They have these pitchers going 5 innings, and then you got 4 especially pitchers pitching 1 inning, 6, another one 7th, another one 8th, another one 9th. If you're expecting 4 or 5 guys to be that good, it's gonna be pretty tough, especially against a great lineup like the Dodgers.
And the wild card round continuing today, and we'll see who survives to tomorrow. And Lee, the good thing about tomorrow is we got football back going again. So what's going on with Paramount Sports now heading into the weekend?
Well, we're gonna. You want to tune in tomorrow? It's gonna be loaded. I might have 2 or 3 football games. I'm for sure gonna have a UFC selection pay-per-view there. So it is absolutely going to be a great end of the week, great weekend. You want to hop on board Paramount Sports. You can get rest of the season, lowered that price, $12.97. We won 11 straight games in the NFL. We hit our max 40-unit wager in college football last week in South Carolina. Easy 35-13 winner. So you want to hop on board the season, it's $12.97. You want to get entire month, October, you're going to get 31 days through October 31st. Use coupon code SAVE100, just $497. Looks like we'll have a big play, another 40 to 50 unit max wager in the NFL this weekend. And then UFC, 7 selections. That's right, 7 selections. We're going to go $57 there and another 40 to 50 unit wager there. So we are on a roll. Baseball playoffs, we lowered that. You can get the entire playoffs through the World Series, $97. It was $297 last week. And also the player props, they're on fire too. Baseball player props through the World Series, also $97. It's all available, just one place, ParamountSports.com.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Locked On Bets, as well as our podcast version you can find on Spotify or Apple or wherever you get your podcasts. For Lee Sterling, I am Kevin Rogers. We will talk to you again coming up on Thursday right here on Locked On Bets on the Locked On Podcast Network.